of Cosmic Conversations. I am your hostess, Marla Martenson, and today I have a special guest all the way from the Philippines. With over 18 years of tarot experience, Robert Rubin is considered one of the foremost authorities in the Philippines on tarot. He's been featured dozens of times on national television, including as one of the 4 lead paranormal investigators on GMA's hit paranormal TV series, Mysterio. And he is also the founder of Mysterium, a tarot school in the Philippines. Isn't that so cool? And he's the author of the book Defensive Occultism and his latest book, The Intuitive Within, which I'm so excited to talk about. Right up our alley. Hello, Robert.
Hello. My new book.
All right, so I want to talk about The Intuitive Within because I love talking about the subject of not going to a job that we hate, living a passion, our dream, what we really came here for. And I love the description of the intuitive within. I just want to read this from your website. You say, within us all is something wonderful, something inspirational, something artistic, and quite possibly divine. This side of ourselves is something beyond what we do for a living or what society expects of us. Instead, this beauty within is what we can call ours, intuitive within. And through this, we can live our lives to the fullest of our potential. Let us discover this beauty within you through the journey in the pages of Intuitive Within and bring to the surface the greatest you that you've ever imagined possible. And one more thing, because this blurb by a guy called Carlo Rivera was so great. He says, the Intuitive Within is a light-hearted and heartfelt guide for a world in which so many talented individuals are trapped by their own trepidation. I highlighted that one. It serves as a rejection of conformity for its own sake and a deeply felt call to live authentically. So please speak to this, because how many of us are trapped by our own trepidation? That just puts it,
You'd be surprised how many of us are really just locked in a rat race that we just can't get out of.
Yes, and so what are your tips on how we can just start breaking out of that, or people who are afraid or just trudging to a job we hate? I mean, what is it that we kind of just shut that down and don't allow ourselves to imagine more even sometimes?
Well, you see, it all starts, Marla, with programming, okay? Majority of the time, it always starts the programming of a person, that they've been programmed to think that which is the most important to them, that is which is within them, their intuitive within, either can't make money, or they'll never succeed at it, or they'll never get anywhere with it, and we're always taught to conform, all right? Like, example, Marla, if you told your family, okay, I'm leaving my lucrative 9-to-5 job as an accountant to do art. I mean, what will people tell you? They'll say, Marla, you're crazy, there's no money in that. Or they're going to say, you're not making sense. Or like, well, think about your kids, or think about your family. But they never actually, or they rarely say to you, that's great. That's something you should do.
Right.
And you have to understand, ever since we're in school, a majority of the time, this is indoctrinated into us. This is told to us time and time again that no, conform, you got to get a 9-to-5 job, you got to buy the 30-year mortgage, the work, so that when you're 90, you can retire. However, I like to tell the people who read this book, is that, well, what if I were to tell you that you could earn just as much money doing what you love than doing a 9-to-5 job that you hate? Would you be interested in learning more about that?
Yes!
And 100% of the time, the clients or the readers or the purchasers would say, yeah, please tell me more. And I'll tell them, well, buy my book.
Right.
Because, you see, we need to reestablish within us that it is possible to be successful and even to have prosperity doing what we love. And it just makes perfect sense. Why? There are 2 reasons we do things. We do it because we love it, or we do it because it makes money. However, the world nowadays focuses too much on the idea it makes money. Hence, I'll do it. Yeah. So let's say, yeah, I earn more money flipping burgers than I would reading tarot cards. That may be true for now, but how much of you wants to flip burgers? You understand? How much of you wants to do the judge work? Versus how much of you would want to read the tarot cards, or paint, or sing, or dance. And in the end, in the long run, people will be more inspired by your inner truth, by your intuitive self, your tarot cards, your expression, your art, your whoever it is you are inside, than a job that you literally say day in and day out, I can't take any more of this. You get what I'm saying, Marla?
Right, and it drains us to do the things we love as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does, but it's more fulfilling in the end. I mean, you could honestly say that, like, of course, if I read the tarot for 20 people, I mean, I love to read the tarot. I would be drained, but I would rather read for 20 people than spend 20 hours in an office
No, I
where
mean
I
that
hate the
office job
setup.
drains us. The when we're not listening to it drains us.
Oh yeah, you bet. I mean, that's just gonna put you in an early grave, honestly
Right.
speaking.
Yeah, they say Monday mornings is the most heart attacks and deaths occur on Monday morning, like between 7 a.m. and 10, because people are literally would rather die than go one more day to their job.
Yes, and that's a very powerful manifestation.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
imagine if every Monday morning for 20 years you're saying, "I hate this.
Oh,
I hate this place."
I
You know what I
know.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And what makes you think you couldn't do the opposite? What makes you think that you couldn't wake up Monday morning and say, "My gosh, I love what I do"?
right.
And that's what the intuitive within is all about. It's about putting the spotlight back on what is relevant to you
Hmm.
and actually showing you that with the right planning, the right uh, machinations, with the right outlook, with the right beliefs, you can actually make this possible.
Yes, I think so. Do you take people through some exercises in the book and help them to get to that point?
Yes, we actually have a 5 week long course that focuses on really developing the intuitive within for the people in Mysterium Philippines. And because sometimes people want to read the book, but other times people just want to be told what to do. I mean, this is a peanut butter and jelly scenario here. Like people will buy the book, but they'll also attend a course that pretty much is just a guided version of what's in the book. And
Right.
that's really the goal. I always want to boil it down to when I ask them, okay, taking the idea of money aside, what would you want to do with the rest of your life?
Yes. Okay.
And once they identify that, the next part is just getting them to believe that it's possible. But of
Hmm.
course, throughout the transition, people will say, oh, but there's no money in that. The
Hmm.
standard answer of us will be, well, who says we're doing it for the money to begin with?
Right.
Understand?
Yeah.
Or they'd say, "Oh yeah, but you know what? There's so many people doing that. You'd never make a mark." Everybody starts somewhere. I take it from Adventure Time. My kids watch it. Sucking at something is the beginning of all greatness.
Hmm.
Nobody starts off as the best at something.
Hmm.
And then people will say, "But there's no market for that." Yeah, there was also never a market for Apple computers, and look at everyone's computer now.
Yes.
So this shows to you that we've been really programmed to think that we can't do it, when in fact it's actually more possible than we give ourselves credit for. And that's what the book is about. That if at the end you at least take one step towards your intuitive truth,
Hmm.
if you are a frustrated painter and you start painting, or if you decided to write that first page or sing that first song, then
Hmm.
I'll say that this book was a total success.
Right. Yes. And I think Elizabeth Gilbert says something in her book Big Magic how it's really asking a lot. It's not fair to ask your passion to fund your life. Like let's say you like, but that doesn't mean you should be stuck in a job. But for instance, I'm a writer. I've written 5 books. I love to write. I'm not making a living on my books, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to stop me from writing. I'm still doing it because I love it. I'm not depending on or ask because a lot of people who's going to write a book, the first thing before they even start writing it, well, how much am I going to make? Is it going to be a bestseller? How do I get it to
Yeah,
sell 1 million copies? Without saying, well, why am I doing it? Is it because it brings me
exactly.
joy, right? So that's what you want to find first is what really brings you joy, not skipping ahead to thinking I'm going to make $1 million off this.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I will disagree that, you know what, with the right calibration,
Mm-hmm.
your passion can and will fuel your life in ways that your 9 to 5 job couldn't do. I remember when I was taking a business leadership course, an interesting statistic was shown that I think it was Stanford who did this study. That they did a study of the most successful entrepreneurs and they asked them, what makes a successful business? And you know what they said? Do not put up a business because your goal is to make money. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that why we put up businesses? I said, no. Put up a business because you love what you do and
Yes.
the money will come.
Right.
And that's exactly it. So imagine you may not exactly be making millions yet with your writing,
Uh-huh.
but who says you won't?
Right.
People will be inspired by your words. And eventually there's going to be that one person who's going to say, this is amazing. We got to give her a writing contract. We got to give her a book deal. And everything else is gravy. So
Yeah.
just keep doing it because you love it. And eventually the universe will award you for it.
Yes, yeah, it's you don't give up. You just keep doing it because you love it. Absolutely. Now, when did you? So you've been doing the tarot for 18 years. Did you just start that? Have you been? How long have you been making a living with this tarot and the whole?
Actually, that's a bit behind. I've been doing it now officially 20 years. I
Okay,
was 14
wow,
when I started, and now I'm
14.
34.
Uh huh.
So that being said, you know what? That's funny because my story as a tarot reader was a very humble beginning. I was just somebody with ambition, but with a love for the tarot, and I lived in the province, not even in the capital here in the Philippines, and I just kept on doing it because I loved it, and people caught on to it, and they said, "Hey, you know, this guy actually has got something." But I was kind of modest about it, didn't want to charge until I realized that there were no real legit tarot schools in the Philippines when I was much older. So I decided, hey, what happens if I start teaching people how to read the tarot?
Hmm.
And we opened our very first course in Mysterium Philippines, which was called An Introduction to the Tarot. I had 4 students at the time. And I loved how they took it on. I loved how they picked it up. And with that, I just kept on rolling it. More people started seeing me, started developing a relationship with me as a reader, and it just blew up. And eventually, I was able to go full time with it. And this was because I loved what I was doing. Because
Right.
people said, Robert, having a reading with you is a different experience altogether.
Mm.
And you know, and at first I was, like I said, since I was a beginner, I was charging peanuts. But as I started getting better, as I started getting more gigs, I started getting out there more. My price eventually increased to a level where I can say, okay, I can actually turn down clients and defer them to my students if the price doesn't match what I'm asking for. And I still get regular clientele because of it. So it's practically my main source, one of my main sources of income right now.
So, well, you started so young that by the time you were out on your own, probably you were making enough money with the tarot, right?
Well, believe it or not, this is the funny thing. If you took the word tarot out of my life,
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have
Right.
Mysterium Philippines. It has just been so essential to who I am.
Yes.
I actually got my job working for a company because of the tarot.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
funny thing about it. Yeah, my aunt, who had a lot of connections, loved tarot reading, found that I was a reader, shipped me in from the province, says, I want you to read for me, I'll pay for everything. And then I read first, she fell in love with it. She said, Robert, why don't you stay here for a couple of months? We'll find you a job.
Oh.
And I wasn't really doing anything in the province anyway. And then she introduced me to some of her business partners who said, okay, we'll give you a 9 to 5 job, which was my first mistake because
Yeah.
I hated it. It was like, what am I doing here? But for 3 years, I did it. I got married along the time. But the funny thing about it was, my wife was also my tarot client. We started off as I read the tarot for her, and I didn't even know it was my wife to be when I first met her. But
Wow.
up to now, we've been
The
7 years
cards didn't
married.
tell you that, huh, Robert?
Well, at first, no, but later on, it gave a hint. It was a really funny scenario. If you want me to share about
I
it, I can
do.
give.
I'm a matchmaker. I've got to hear this story.
All right, this is so epic because when I first met her, I was really jaded, and I saw her. She was cute. I was doing a tarot gig for Valentine's Day in the local coffee shop here called Zocolat. She walked in, and then I read for her, found her cute, but like I said, jaded. So I just gave her my email address, and I said, "Look, if you want to talk, email me. We'll talk about all the tarot you want." She never contacted me for a while until like months later. Apparently to her, my reading came true so exactly that she needed to find me again. So I saw her again and said, oh, look, it's that cute girl. I read for her again, that was fine. But the third time really got me because the third time she came to me for a reading, she asked me, who am I going to end up with for the rest of my life? And then the card, the Emperor, came out. And I've always related to that card, the Emperor. It's always been my card. And when it came out, I said, oh, I like this guy. I said, you know what? I'm not pulling your leg here. I was like, I like this guy. This is my kind of guy. When you meet him, please introduce him to me. I'm sure I'm gonna like this guy a lot. And 2 days later, we went on our first date, and I was like, oh crud, it was me.
Two
And the
days
rest
later, you went on the date? 2 days.
on our first date,
Yeah.
yeah. Two
Okay.
days later, I decided to ask her out
Yeah.
because she's already seeing me for readings like once every 3 or 4 weeks. And then I said, well, I wasn't going anywhere with my love life anyway, so she's the healing coordinator now of Mysterium Philippines. She teaches Reiki and
Hmm.
Seraphim Blueprint with us, and it's just been a beautiful love story between the two of
I
us.
saw her picture on your website. She's just gorgeous.
Thank you very much for that.
Congratulations. That's great. And you have kids?
Yes, we have two, Jacob and Nicole. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, the Philippines, what do they think of tarot? Isn't it pretty Catholic over there?
Yeah, it's pretty. But here's the thing about it. When we started with Mysterium Philippines, it was the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? In other words, tarot was laughed at. People would, come to readings wearing turbans, bringing their crystal balls and all that stuff. And you know what? I actually have that stuff.
As a joke?
But no, it's a
No.
gimmick. They would do it as a gimmick. The readers that would call themselves Lord, Lady, Master, Magus. So people would laugh at it. It's like, yeah, it's good for Halloween, but other than that, it's not any good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you read from my profile. I'm also heavy into the occult and into magic, so
Yes.
I understand that these objects are important, but it's not something you bring to Starbucks when you're doing a tarot reading. You know what I mean? So I can show you one of these days some images of what tarot readers used to look like out here, and it was a real joke back in the day. However, when I saw that, I said, this is the problem. When I read for people, people think it's a joke. How do I get people to take it seriously? Because it's very serious to me.
Yes.
So I said, all right, I'm going to do away with the stereotypes. I'm not going to do the whole cloak and staff and headband approach. I want people that... I kind of took the image of a formal consultant. And I said, I'm going to be very serious about it and be very professional. I'm going to be very strict with scheduling, and I would give people the best experience possible. And I instilled that into our readers.
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, people said, hey, we have company events and we've heard things about Mysterium Philippines. Would you be willing to do events with us? And then I was thinking, so how are we going to do this? I said, okay, we go the professional route. Okay, everybody needs to look legit. Everybody needs to look serious. We can't look like a bunch of circus sideshow freaks. Unless, of course, it's a costume party, then go right ahead. And eventually it started building up that, no, these guys in Mysterium, when they do tarot, they're not swindlers. They're not like cosplayers or stuff like that. They're serious readers who take this practice really seriously. And because of that, we've gotten a very powerful corporate image when we do tarot. So we actually increased the consciousness about tarot that said, oh, if you want a real, genuine consultation, which won't have any bad strings attached to it, go to Mysterium. And as a result, we have now over like 100 plus readers that have graduated from our program. We have the only certification program for tarot in the Philippines, certifying the quality based upon the standards of Mysterium. And we've affiliated officially with the Tarosophy Tarot Association International. So we've really just taken tarot from once a circus sideshow event to something now that like every Chinese New Year, every Halloween, every Valentine's Day, our readers are all dispatched because people just want to have our readers with them.
Oh, that is amazing. I love it. Good for you. That's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you for that.
And can any of my viewers get a reading with you, or are you just too busy?
No, yeah, you can. You can visit my personal website, www.robrubinreadings.com. And all of the protocols are there for how to get a reading. We have e-readings if you want something more affordable. I also do live Skype sessions as well. And all payments, if you're from outside the Philippines, are payable via PayPal. So it's very easy to get a reading with me from anywhere in the world. Just visit robrubinreadings.com.
That's awesome. Because now, do you suggest people? So you've got your book, The Intuitive Within. People are trying to figure out, what do I do with my life? I'm not happy with the direction it's going. I know I have some things. Would a reading be, maybe that would be a great accompaniment to kind of get you on the right track?
Definitely. I like to see one, kind of like the left hand and the right hand, because the reading will show you what you need to do, and the book itself will show you what to do next. In other words, it empowers you. So, example, if the reading says, oh, maybe you need to lose weight, the book will tell you, okay, this is what you can start doing to finally lose weight if it's that important to you.
Yeah, well, I think we know that about ourselves, right?
Exactly. That's
Now
an
we just
example,
walk
though.
over to the mirror, that one. That's good. All right, well, Robert, thank you so much for sharing your insight and talking about tarot with us. And looking forward to talking to you again soon. You guys, let us know if you what you're doing. Do you hate your job? Are you moving into something else? Do you like the tarot? Leave a comment below. Thanks, everybody.